Yeah, welcome today is for people that want to, for 2025, really set the tone, set the agenda. And I'm going to be giving people 10 spiritual practices that they can embody to live and integrate order and chaos. So anyone that's been following my channel for the last 3 weeks would have seen the Infinite series, which is basically a 3 to 4 part, if you want to call this part as well, part of the Infinite series, where we understand why everybody should be creating their own universe based on the principles of system design and us as conscious creators of our own reality. And we look at it mainly from two aspects, which is the order aspect and the principle aspect. So the order aspect is where we plan and we design, the code and design our life. And then the chaos element is where we understand its benefits and we learn to become anti-fragile, or the aim is to become anti-fragile. So we live and know how to roll with the punches, and we are always advancing regardless of the situation. So we want to tap into these ideas and concepts like unconditional, infinite. As soul beings, we shouldn't be thinking only logically, where the ego is the master. We should be making sure that the ego takes a back seat to the divine creation that is within this divine spark that we've been speaking about quite a lot. And so once we tap into that all spark, we're able to move into the fifth dimension, beyond time and space, into our infinite self. And so what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be talking about 10 different practices, which is going to allow you, the divine mind, to embed and incorporate things that are going to allow you to transform into these energies, into these infinite energies, in a real practical and tangible way. So without further ado, let's begin. All right, so first one, meditation. I have to laugh when I say meditation because I do meditate, but not to the level that I realize is now crucially important. So most of you know that I went to Thailand and I saw my brother who's a monk, and then I met this lady who for the last 10 years has been meditating for 8 hours a day, 6 to 8 hours a day for 10 years. And she just, based on the questions I was asking, but also how she was explaining it, she made me see things and see benefits that I had never really realized this importance and just underplayed, let's just say. Just didn't realize its significance, even though I've read about, meditation. I've even meditated myself. But essentially, what she was saying is that unless you can get to this first level, I think it's called the jhanas, unless you can get to this first level, which is, so there's 4 levels of the jhanas, and in the Buddhist practices it's very, very, very clear. So on that first level, that is, in her practice, in her school, they basically don't do anything else until you get to this first level. Once you do these first levels, you can even ask about theory and how Buddhism works and stuff like that. But before then, they just want you to be able to concentrate where you go into this realm of, you can call it nothingness. Like, there are Buddhist words, but I'm just keeping things simple for now. That still point. That point beyond our identity, where you're going into those states of the I am, or what I would call nothingness. And they say that the highest level is this level of non-perception. So I characterize nothingness as the number 0. So obviously, in numerology or symbol literacy, the metaphor would be the 0. That 0 point energy is also a thing as well. You can look it up. It's the same thing. They're talking about the same thing, this 0. And one of the things that I underplayed Actually, no, I'll get there. I'll get there next because that was more of a subtle one. So let's just start off with what I believe, and I'm very happy. I'm very very happy to just say what I believe. So what I believe is that the only thing you take with you when you die is your consciousness. This is fundamental to how I am, how I live, how I move. This is like a top 3, could even be the top number 1 in terms of this system of beliefs that I've been talking to you guys about, especially in the Infinite Eye series. So fundamental to my concept is that the universe is mental, which would be the number 1. So which is idealism, this philosophy of idealism. The universe being mental, the fundamental substrate of the universe is mental. And then of that I am is the appearance of consciousness. That I am is the appearance of consciousness. And I'm basically saying that when you return to source, or when you transform from this physical body back into your spiritual body, your spirit essentially is consciousness. And the second thing I will say is, unless you've cultivated yourself to levels of Buddha, which is like this highest level out of the 4, which is where you get into this realm of non-perception, which is essentially like you cease to exist. That whatever the I is would cease to exist, and potentially would cease to exist forever. So this is the level of Buddhahood, like, you know. So I basically play like a Pascal's wager on it, which is, I've read the Buddhist text, I've read, you know, philosophies of yoga and all these kind of things, and I'm like, the chance of that happening in this lifetime for most people is like I'd say 1 in a million, maybe 1 in 2 million, 1 in 3 million. I don't know. Seems very rare. Seems very hard to do. This level of non-perception, or this fourth level, and I would then say that the likelihood that you would then go to when you go into the next realm is the astral realm, some form of another dimension where you're in the realm of consciousness, the one. So I'm saying that this non-perception is true, is what the true zero is. This non-perception, that essentially there would be no difference between you and God when we talk about the self and not self. Again, I've covered this. You might have to go back to my videos if you're not quite following this. But you know, I'm just going to assume that you've watched a video. I'm going to encourage you to watch the first video when we talk about the philosophy of this all, and how the soul goes from what basically the story of cause and effect, essentially what my version of the tree of life. And so I'm saying that it's most likely you're going to go into the imaginal realm, the realm where your imagination is paramount. And so I believe that this realm, this physical earth, this Midgard, is to slow down our manifestations. So in the astral realm, your manifestations, your imagination will become almost instant. And I always ask people, imagine if you had instant manifestation. Cool, you might have your house, your yacht, and I don't know, 40 acres. But what about all your bad thoughts? What about every single time that you had green eyes, or was envious, that you said something behind someone's back that was mean, that was actually action? I wish this person would just, and then that actually happened and manifested, and there was no comeback from that. So what I say is that this world is the training ground for people to master love, peace, kindness, wisdom, power, you know, all of these things that we spoke about, that we speak on, in order so they can control. This is the key thing with why meditation is so important. So they can control and focus their attention and imagination, especially attention. It starts with attention. it starts with attention. Everything is energy. The only thing of currency is your attention. I've said that every week now because that's one of my favorite lines. So meditation is where you cultivate your ability to attend, to focus, to intend, but definitely attend first, which is the act. The atness. It's where you get the word atmosphere, Atman, which is like your divine being, basically. Your divine being. And so meditation is the fundamental floor practice for spiritual cultivation, in my humble opinion. Now, there's many types of meditation. So very specifically, I'm talking about the Vipassana meditation. I butchered that name, by the way. But that's the meditation that I'm speaking about, which is this nothingness meditation. And so what you want to do is you want to focus on your breath. So you can see my screen. So what you do is you just focus on your breath, and well, you can do it in steps. So for a minute to 30 seconds, you breathe in, breathe out through your nose. Only all this breathing is done through out of the nose. And then you're imagining your breath, or you're feeling the sensations on your breath, but you're focusing on the breath, on the tip or the top of your lip, around about here. Eyes closed. So the breath cycle is one out breath. So an in and out, that would be one cycle. So one in, one out, that's one cycle. And then you would count from 1 to 5, or between, yeah, just 1 to 5. When you get to 5, you start again. So 1, 2, and then when you get to 5, you start again back at 1. And obviously the idea is to clear the mind. Now there are hundreds of videos on meditation, so this video is more about me justifying why I think meditation is more important than the actual practice itself, because there's just so many videos on this practice. This is a whole school, and you know it's well adopted in the West as well. So one of the other subtleties which I was listening to, and which I get as well, is that obviously the philosophy that I've been saying is that I say that the universe exists to know itself. So know thyself is the most important thing. And I say that anything outside of ourselves we can never truly know. And that's why the focus is to know yourself. Once you know yourself, then you can know God. Because there is no separation. It's only the illusion of separation. And so these meditation practices dissolves these identities. Or one of the benefits, you could say, would be to dissolve this ego, to dissolve this identity where you think you are separate from yourself, or separate from things, as in subject and object. And so meditation is one of the keys to tapping into the oneness, principles of oneness, and actually having a direct relationship with what I and many people call, you know, oneness, the monad, and all of these words mean the same thing. Another benefit as well is that the moment when you come out of non-perception, and I've experienced this as well, by the way, I'm speaking about stuff I've experienced. So when you come out of non-perception, like time doesn't exist. So I can't say how long I went outside of non-perception for, but I went into non-perception, and when I came out of it, this flood, almost like it would be I can only describe it as my body's version of the Big Bang, where, you know, you get the shivers down your spine, but your whole body is just getting those shivers. I can imagine it's what being born is like, where just every single fiber within my being was just tingling and on fire. You can, and I would describe it as fire. And again, you can start to see, you have to actually experience these things, but you can start to see where things like the divine spark and your will, which is just inherent in everyone, in every soul, comes from. So yeah. And then also as well, it's just that after effect, like when you've tapped into that realm and then you come out, you know, the sense of peace that is unintelligible. Again, these things are hard to describe in words, obviously. These things are to be experienced. I'm hoping in 2025 that we desire to experience some things outside of just reading them in a book, watching a YouTube video. Oh, that's cool. Like, we all have the ability to breathe and follow our breath. Start 10 minutes, 20 minutes, go for an hour, you know, maybe go on a retreat, one of those 10-day retreats, something like that. So that's meditation. Next thing, energy work. So meditation, I would say, is tapping into the zero, that 0 point, especially that one that I was speaking about as well, the nothingness meditation. There are other types of meditation, but we're going to just focus on nothingness meditation. Energy work. So this would be anything from Qigong to Tai Chi. Pranayama, I would still class pranayama, but you can class pranayama obviously as a meditation as well. Or yoga, the asanas. Something that allows you to connect with your body. So mind, body, spirit. And obviously your breath is part of your body, but essentially we're now using our body to cultivate energy. So I'm basically saying that your power, your ability to cultivate your power, plus there's some other things as well, will determine how far you go in the astral realm. Your ability is like, it's not like there's a gate to heaven or a key to heaven. It's just that you haven't tapped into the power that can unlock these chambers, that can unlock these dimensions. And so cultivating your spiritual power through, like I practice Qigong, like cultivating your spiritual power through Qigong, where you can get to the point where you can grow that energy, like you can feel it. And then you start to feel it, like, because the energy now has become so present, where it does two things. One, it becomes more powerful, but then two, you become more attuned to the subtlety. So one of the reasons why we don't tap into our divine powers is because there's just too much noise going on. Obviously, it's what meditation helps with as well. But there's just too much noise going on. It's like lights, camera, action is everywhere. So we're too tapped into that one energy. We're too tapped into the I energy. And so that energy work allows you to, again, go into that space where you're tapping into the ethers, tapping into the spiritual realm, and you're growing that energy to the point where you're also quieting your mind, and then you feel the energy. You start to feel the energy, like, of yourself, on your own body first, and then obviously on other people as well, because obviously we're all energy beings. And so I've been doing a lot of these practices I do myself. Like I'm not sure. Let me just see. Yeah. None of these practices bar one. Well, actually, no. None of these practices do I not do myself, by the way, just to be clear. But what my 2025 is about personally is about doing them more, with more intensity, more consistency. That's my personal ethic for 2025. So with energy work, look into something called the 5 standing states. So I'll just put that in now. So you can do the 5 standing states. So it's the practice that I've been doing for years. And it's Chi Chi-Gong. So I'm just putting this in the chat for you lot. 5 standing states. This will help you cultivate your energy. You then get into some. You can then get into somatic practices. Somatic practices. Somatic practices, which is about body awareness. So this is where you're basically once you've grown your energy, you then start playing with the energy and you start moving energy throughout your body. So, you know, people go outside to earth to ground themselves. That's a beautiful practice. That's not on this list. But you can ground yourself by moving your energy to your feet. You can heal your headache by moving your energy to your head. And they're doing certain other techniques as well. So I can't remember the lady's name. I can't remember the lady's name. You can get a book called Energy Work. You get a book called Energy Work. I should have actually had a library of books. I've basically got a book for each one of these practices. I could have just, but yeah. I'll bring it out one day. But yeah, Energy Work. That's a great book. Donna Eden. Energy Work by Donna Eden. She's got like hundreds of techniques. She's got like an energy practice for each ailment, each disease, each spiritual goal, you know, that anyone could imagine, or that most people could imagine. She'll have an energy practice for it. And the key is that once you start to cultivate your energy and start to work on body awareness, you can actually feel the energy moving through you when you're doing these practices and doing these techniques. Like a mudra. So this is just a bit of a tangent, but a mudra is a hand sign, a hand signal. Like that. It's like that, you know. These are related to the 5 elements. 5 elements. So everything is spiritual. Just trying to say, like, every single thing is spiritual. And your energy work, the more you can tap into your energy work, the more you start to understand it, because you're starting to feel energy on all of its at all of its subtle levels in the subtle realm. So you start to actually feel when you hold up your hands to certain places, like how your energy, like whether it's lighter, whether it's heavier, whether it's circular, you know, like which way is your energy flowing at the moment? Is it that way? Is it that way? Can you feel it in multiple directions? So I had an experience in the astral realm, and it was the first time. It's what made me add power, because I had love and wisdom. It was what made me add power into this holy trinity, because my whole body was contorting. It was like my body became the vehicle whilst in the astral realm. So I was in the astral realm doing whatever I was doing, traveling in light, having this amazing experience, but traveling in this like hyper light tunnel. And it was just incredible. It was incredible. It was a long experience as well. The experience lasted for a long time. But the whole point is that my body, I could feel like the strength, like me tensing as I was moving certain places. My body was moving as well. There was something that happened to my saliva, for example. Something that happened to my saliva. Like, this is the stuff that you can't really, I've never seen this stuff in books. It's just an experience that I had. But there was something that was happening to my saliva, where my saliva became like the ocean and my tongue was the boat. I've never actually even explained it like that. I always think about my tongue, because I was like, oh, my tongue was the steering wheel. Because I've explained this before to a couple of people. I was like, yeah, my tongue was like the steering wheel. My tongue was just doing this mad, it was clearly the steering wheel. But then the saliva, so it was really like the tongue was the boat. And when you go look at the ancient temples, they always have your soul traveling on a boat. They always have your soul traveling on a boat. Go look at the ancient Egyptian temples. That duat, the journey through the underworld, is on a boat. And that boat and the water represents the ethers. And so everything spiritual is physical. And so my saliva became the waters. plus some other things. But like, I'm just saying, like, my whole body, like, my conclusion was that if I hadn't done energy work and Qigong work and just certain lifestyle habits that I have, I wouldn't have been able to stay in these realms for that long. I may have not even been able to have got into that realm in the first place, because that was the first time I had experienced me basically being in my light body, what they call a Merkaba. So again, you can Google this stuff. It's called a light body. A Merkaba. It was my first time ever in my Merkaba, like just fully. And your Merkaba is, yeah, it's your car. it's your soul car. Based on geometry, and your body is a geometry. So yeah, that's why I think energy work is absolutely paramount. Absolutely paramount. Absolutely paramount. Next thing, journaling. Journaling. So all my students, they have to do journaling. It's a non-negotiable. It's the number one practice that basically is just non-negotiable. You have to do journaling. So I'm gonna go into some advanced ulterior motives of why me myself, I'm gonna go take journaling up to a next level. So I have been journaling for like a year or so. Plus, you can maybe say longer than that if you think about like my dream works. Like, you know, I'll often go through periods where I'm doing dream work, excuse me, which is another one of the steps on the 9. And I will track my dreams when I'm doing dream work, essentially. I'll journal my dreams. But journaling to track a couple of things. One, synchronicities. Tracking your synchronicities, because synchronicities is one of the practices that we advocate for. So why are you seeing certain numbers at certain times? Where was you? What mental state were you in? What did that number kind of lead on to? What did you think about that number? So that would be one thing. And then anyone that comes into my system where again, we've not really spoken about it because it's one of the steps, it's one of the next steps, which is divination, which is you map your divination as well. You write down your divination codes and you see them play out through journaling, and you bringing it to life. So I'm going to talk about journaling a bit later on, because a lot of the other practices, what I'm basically saying is to record your practices. So record your meditation experiences, you know, record your energy work. So I have a hypothesis. This kind of gets into what I'm doing for 2025. So like I said, I would never ask anyone to do something that I wasn't doing myself, that I was, and quite honestly, probably doing that 10 times that level that I'm asking that person to do. That's just my ethic. So yeah, I'm gonna be journaling deep. I'll get back to it in a second, because I'll bring up some other things, but I'm gonna be journaling like never before. I've got my templates already. I've already done it, and I've already dabbled in it a little bit to just practice it. But it's just, again, for me this year, for me personally, 2025 is about consistency and discipline. That's my personal thing. Like, because I'm more of a chaos being, naturally chaotic, consistency doesn't really work well with chaos so much. So for me, it's about integrating order and balance. And so I want to bring more order and structure by doing just simple things like waking up early. But we'll see. we'll see how much my chaos wants to fight that. But you know, I've dabbled in it. I've done it for a few weeks here and there. A month, a few weeks here and there throughout last year, just testing. Did something for 40 days, 40 nights. I journaled for 40 days and 40 nights, and it was life changing. But my mind works more like a scientist, where as long as it's like I'm testing my hypothesis. Again, in my world, I've already won. I'm already in bliss. I'm already in rapture. So often I do things just for the experience, just to see whether I can handle that or push that envelope. And then once I've done it, I kind of just, okay, cool, I've done that, and then move on to the next thing. But this year, sorry, in 2025, it's about going deep with these practices, not just as a one-off. Oh, I did that once. Okay, so what happens if I do that 100 times? How deep what will happen if I did this one thing 100 times and experience this 100 times? So that's my personal ambitions. You know, we don't talk about goals, we don't talk about ambitions. These are my personal ambitions and themes for next year. For now, really, but yeah. So we'll move on to the, I'm not going to do these in order actually, because yeah, the journal one, yeah, exactly. Symbol literacy. So again, we can only truly know ourselves. You trying to work out your partner, your friend, business people, you can never know the 20 to 40,000 thoughts that they have in a day, and they're only going to present to you. That presentation is done in a way in which they represent themselves, or you see the representation of their presentation. And so that gap means that we can only see the world through symbols, because our brain only has the ability to interpret information. And that interpretation of information is a representation of what is really real and what is really true. This is really important. So we want to get as close to the truth as possible through understanding relevance and proximity. So the closer to the truth, the better. But the truth is a moving mountain. So what we think is truth is just a capturing of that energy in its state, a picture in its state. And the only thing constant is change. So it's hard for us to get a true reflection of person, because the identity wants to stay, it wants to formulate, it wants to stagnate that energy so it can identify it, because because the ego is also an identity. The ego is also an identity. So it's always going to try to identify, and how it identifies is through symbols. So if you're going to go into the game of self, of identity, which is fine, because like I said, the ego is a byproduct of the soul. So it was created for a reason. It's useful. And so the way in which you can make it useful is by teaching it symbols. We can only learn the world through symbols, and the meaning that we attach to those symbols. What a circle means to you is different to me. So this universe works off of a consensus reality. It basically means people's agreement. So if enough people believe in something in this realm, it means it's true to at least a degree. Even a lie is true. In this realm, we live in the realm of make-believe. That's why Hollywood is the most powerful body on the planet. Or, you know, just maybe Bollywood now, but, you know, but Hollywood, for the West anyway, Bollywood is the most powerful body, because it taps into our imagination, into that realm of make-believe. And I'm saying that everything starts off with an assumption. We can only hypothesize about something, what they call an axiom, which is our version of the truth. But it's just an angle as long as we are separated in identity. It's only ever going to be a perspective, and a very limited one at that. But the minute you identify with the ego, i.e. these characteristics, even these dispositions, like I like this food, I don't like this food. I'm not saying that's good or bad. I'm just saying that that is part of your identity. You said I am, and then you've added something to the I am. The minute you've added something onto the I am, that's an excitation in the ether. That's a creation in the ether. And so we want to understand symbol literacy, because it's going to give us more angles and more perspectives of meaning. And I'm essentially saying that if you listen, check my last videos, I'm basically saying that life is what you make it. In its most simple format, life is what you make it. And so what I want to encourage you to do in 2025 is focus less on purpose and more on desire. Purpose is going to take you off track, because I'll just give it to you for free. Your purpose is always moving. There is not one purpose you have. Your purpose is what you should be doing in the moment. That is your purpose, because the only thing that exists is now. So what you should be doing now, what your soul calls you to now, if you listen to what your soul calls to you in the now, then you are fulfilling your purpose. You do that 1,000,000 times over 1,000,000 seconds, and you are a purposeful person. You are a purpose-led person. So any ideas of time in the future will pale in comparison to what I've just said. And so what did this symbol mean to you in the moment? Not what you read in a book. But then that's where the switch happens. So you read it in a book. Okay, the number 1 means I am. The number 1 means Aries. The number 1 is the color red. Like, these are all things that people represent with the number 1. So these are representations, descriptions, archetypes, personalities, characteristics. But what do they tell you? Build a relationship with God. So at some point you would have to come out of the Bible. At some point you would have to come out of the dream book. At some point you would have to come out of your divination books, or however you're learning what they say the meaning is. And so in this create your own reality, I'm encouraging for people to make up their own symbols with their own meanings. We're going to get onto that as one of the practices later. But I'm going to show you how to do that. But now we're just laying the foundation of why understanding symbols is incredible. It allows you to tap into synchronicity, for example. So how could you you wouldn't be able to join the dots unless one thing meant something and then one thing meant something, and then you found how they meant something to each other. But if I don't have a meaning for that, but I only have a meaning for that, then there is no connection. It's lost power. So I'm saying that through your symbol literacy, through you understanding the signs and symbols, and God can only speak to us in signs and symbols. Otherwise, there's no voice. So you've only got 2 choices. You tap into that infinite realm, you tap into that nothingness realm through meditation and things like that, or you live in this world through symbols. And I'm saying that obviously we do both. There will be a time and place to do both. And so if you're decided to live in this dunya, you might as well learn symbol literacy. It will change your life. And you do that through think, feel, and do, essentially. Just a real simple protocol of think, feel, and do. What do I think about this symbol? What do I feel about this symbol? What do I do with this symbol? You should be able to have protocols and actions for each one of those. And this is why journaling is important. See, now we get back into the journaling. This is why journaling is important, because you can start to build up a pattern of, why do I keep on seeing 222? So I saw 222 7 times. Okay, is there a pattern now in the times when I'm seeing 222? So what is my soul trying to tell me? What is the moment trying to tell me? Because it could be an angel, it could be, whatever you believe in. It could be anything. But essentially, what is that moment trying to tell me? You just focus on it like that, keep it real simple. divination. A lot of these things go back to my principle that you are creating these things subconsciously and unconsciously anyway. So I'm saying that obviously all words are spells. All hand movements are mudras, hand postures. All body movements are asanas or yoga positions. All movements of your voice is a vibration that echoes in the universe. So as divine beings, we are creating our reality in every single moment. So if you decide to shy away from things like symbol literacy, if you get scared at things like divination, essentially you're just not really recognizing your power. You'd have to come up with some, as in I can't think of a reason, I've never heard of a reason of why you would shy away from that. That didn't tell me that you are basically scared of tapping into your own power, or you just don't really understand that you create magic in every moment, whether you realize it or not. You are being either controlled or you're in control. And this is a magical realm. This is a realm where magic happens. And obviously the people at the highest level, they are alchemists and magicians. And so I'm saying that there is a divine story that is being played out, and you can get to understand and know that through divination. And so there's the interpretive divination, which is more like astrology. This is more like logic based, where you're looking at the patterns. You can do even pattern recognition. So this gets you into pattern recognition and logic, where you're looking at the rhythm of the stars, the influence of energy. So the universe is energy, everything is energy. All we're really doing with divination is just understanding the interplay and the interconnectedness of energy, the relationship of energies, to come to some conclusion that gives us meaning and a sense of understanding about what's happening in this moment. And I'm also saying that because you create your own reality, you can use divination as a tool to help empower your own reality. I'm going to be going live twice a week, hopefully from this Sunday. So I'm not going to go live, apologies. I'm going to keep this Wednesday live for now, until further notice. And then I'm going to upload Sunday, latest Monday. And on Monday, I'm going to be going advanced. So I would still call what I'm saying today and these lives are mainly going to be for deep soul seekers who could class themselves maybe as beginners or just want to further their knowledge deeper. And then on Sunday, I'm just going to be going advanced for people that at least want to understand and have an imagination of what happens what does it look like to really create your own reality and create your own universe in a real, okay, no explanations, let's just do the work. Let's just do the work in real time and start divining. Let's do the real work in real time and start working with energy. And then you can see live or on the video, or my thoughts of what has been happened, the after effects, the cause and effect of me tapping into my power, or the power that flows through me, as something called a standing wave. Peace and blessings, Lord Harris. So as something called a standing wave. So all you need to do is just imagine a pebble dropping in the ocean. The size of the pebble is the size of your power. You drop it in the middle, it will make these concentric circles, like circles on circles on circles on circles. Those circles, or those concentric circles, would represent time. So in order to manipulate time, to magnify your energy, you would need to cultivate your energy through doing energy work. And then we're using divination to, and symbol literacy and meaning making to understand what those waves are. Because obviously you're not the only wave. You are the center of your universe in an infinite mind. But there are other waves as well that are influencing or interfering with your energy. This is how energy works. So you could drop like 5, just go, it's a lovely meditation to like just drop 5 stones of like different weight, just throw it up in the air and just throw them into the ocean and just watch the wave patterns, or just go watch ducks. Just go to a pool and just watch ducks flapping. And you'll see all of these wave patterns. That's essentially what life is. That's essentially what life is. So the second divination is intuitive divination. This is working with, so interpretive divination is more working with things like astrology. Intuitive divination is working with things like tarot cards or oracle decks. So I would recommend everyone gets oracle decks. You know, again, what you do. So this is something called cardology. So I do have a video on this already. Do I have a video on this? Yeah, I think in my SoulGNO revealed video, because obviously I've got an app. Oh yeah, I forgot. I have an app that breaks all this divination stuff down. That is, you know, combines 10 divination systems into one. The world's first. But hey, one day I'll actually start talking about it properly. But anyway, so for example, this is called cardology. So this number 7 means something. This color means something. The heart means something. And cardology is related to the earth. You've got 13 cards, like the 13 moons. You've got red and black, order and chaos, negative and positive. You've got the 4 symbols, which represent the 4 seasons. So like literally you've got the perfect cycle of the earth in cardology. And so if you want to move with the rhythm of the earth, you would use this divination system. You would turn this, you would use this as a divination system for meaning. And it's pretty simple. It's pretty simple. All you would need to know, well, simple to my mind, is what the numbers 1 to 9 mean, what the 4 symbols are, what the colors are. But really you could do it just from the numbers and the 4 symbols. So that's 17 things you would need to learn, and then that means you would be able to know all 52 cards from learning those 17 things. So again, this is just how we try to be efficient with our work as well. So there's 2 ways to look at divination. One, you can look at it as something like divine, like from your spirit world talking to you. I say 3 ways actually. You can look at it as yourself talking to yourself from your spirit, like your spirit, your higher self guiding yourself. You can just, if those 2 things spook you out too much, you can just look at it from a psychological perspective. So Carl Jung, probably second most famous psychologist, is into oracle cards. He's actually into I Ching, which is another divination system based on 64 cards. Let's just call them 64 cards. And what it does at the very minimal is it jolts your psychology. It jolts your psychology and what you identify with in the world. So if I pull a card let's say I pull a card and it's the preponderance of the great. I'm creating my own reality because I've pulled that card, and I'm now going to contemplate this card. So what we're basically saying is that it's impossible, once you understand that you are a creator of your own reality, it's actually impossible for divination not to work if you understand meaning making. Like, hopefully we can see this. Hopefully I've explained it in a way which is clear, because I'm basically saying that there are many practices, like I've literally said that to get to certain Buddha levels and these jahanas, like the fourth jhana, you know, they say it takes you 1,000 lifetimes, or minimum 1,000 lifetimes. Could easily take you 1,000 lifetimes. Like, don't be surprised. So I'm saying for you to achieve that as an attainable goal would be difficult. I'm not saying don't aim for the stars, but I'm saying it would be difficult. I'm saying anyone can work with divination, synchronicity, meaning making, and symbol literacy. And so to understand that, you would need to understand words, the alphabet, words as spells, and we use words all the time, numbers, the mathematics of the universe. Focus on learning just learn the numbers 1 to 9. Just what do the numbers 1 to 9 mean symbolically? What do the letters A to Z mean symbolically? How were they created? How were the letters created? Where did they come from? Phonacia, by the way. Phonacian. And so each word is a hieroglyph. Every single letter that you see is basically a hieroglyph, because that was the original way. And so they've just translated that into words over hundreds of years or thousands of years. They've just migrated into words, into a phonetic language. But before, it was a visual language. where one image painted 1,000 pictures, and they've reduced that down to just its phonetic energy, which means you've lost something, but that it's still there. It's just hidden for those that know how to uncover it. And it's not that hidden, because you can go online and find it in 10 seconds. Just put the original meaning of the English alphabet or something like that, and you'll find it. And then obviously we got symbols and signs, which is sacred geometry. And so just understanding the basic symbols. What is this? What does a circle mean? What does a square mean? What does a triangle mean? Just those 3 enough. And if you want to go to medium level, a pentagram and a hexagon. So literally from numbers 1 to 6, or the shapes from 1 to 6 sides. Just learn that enough. Or I would say, I don't want to call it advanced, but like 1 to 9 as well, because then now we can make correspondence with the 9th number and the 9th shape, a nonagon, or an octagon, the 8th number and the 8th shape, with the 8th letter. And so then now we're tapping into being the mind of a syncretist. So I'm saying the universe is one and everything is interconnected, which basically means that my philosophy is syncretism. That would have to be the default, because how else would I see the interconnectedness and the relationship of this universe, this relational universe? I would need a practice or a form of study in order to master those realms, or to understand those realms, to know thyself. And so basically the philosophy is the word already exists. It's called syncretism, which is understanding synchronicity, of course. Again, you can Wikipedia this stuff. There's nothing that I'm saying today that you can't Wikipedia. All right, next one. And then that goes into Dreamwork. It then goes into Dreamwork. One, we've already spoken about symbol literacy, so I'm going to kind of move on from that. But obviously, in order for you to understand your dreams, you would need to understand the symbols. So we tap into our subconscious realm. So Dreams are really important because our conscious realm. Oh yeah, don't forget to hit the like button. Wow, one person hit the like. I just saw it. Yeah, please, people, if you can just hit the like button, it really does help with the algorithm. I actually forgot to ask last week, and I did probably my worst performing video last week. Well, it was my worst performing video out of all of my videos, and I literally forgot to ask people to hit the like button. So yeah, please, if you can do me a favor, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And what else did they say? I can't remember. Share it as well if you can. All right, cool. Or comment or something like that. But yeah, whatever. If you can help me with the algorithm, wonderful. So anyway, Dreamwork. Our subconscious mind is at the very least 90% of our power. I would say it's way more. I'd say it's in the thousands, if not more powerful than our conscious mind. And so often the reason why we're unable to manifest is because we only focus on our literal mind. Again, these smart objectives that we spoke about last week. And I'm saying that we need to tap into our magic mind, i.e. our subconscious mind. And so to, you know, again, reference Bruce Lipton, people like Bruce Lipton, Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton especially, you know, help you to tap into your subconscious mind, program your subconscious brain. It would make sense that you would try to program the part where the power actually lies. If my car wasn't starting and the engine wasn't working, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter how much I put my foot on the gas. If something's wrong with the engine. So this is essentially what we're doing. This is what most of us are doing when it comes to our manifestations and our dreams even, and our hopes that we have. And so dream work allows you to tap directly into your subconscious mind. Just real simple. So that's one of the benefits. And you dream for 8 hours. Well, you don't dream for 8 hours a day, but obviously you've got that rest. But then you've got that REM sleep when you get into that mode where you start dreaming. And so what I advocate for all my students is lucid dreaming. Lucid dreaming. And you won't really hear this being mentioned. So I'll just reveal it. Again, you can listen to someone called Dan Winter. Dan Winter. I mention him often in my advanced classes because he is advanced. He talks about advanced stuff. So he's an electrical engineer that works with heart rate variability. So I'm using a few big words now. Just the range of your heartbeat. Low, high, heart rate variability. And he works with he basically was a pioneer of an institute called HeartMath. So HeartMath, again, you can Google this stuff. You can just, all this stuff is there. They're an institute, probably a multi-million pound institute. They're not small. Joe Dispenza basically talks about them all the time. Or is it Bruce Lipton? One of the two. Can't remember. So anyway, what you want to do is you want to synchronize your heart with your brain, with your mind. So your heartbeat has got waves, this standing wave, this pebble, and so does your brain. And essentially, one-mindedness, single-mindedness, centeredness essentially determines on your ability to synchronize your heart with your brain. If you can't do that, you're out of sync. And the HeartMath Institute and Dan Winter's technologies, which I have, by the way, in my house and I use, and Dan Winter's technologies allow you to measure how synchronized your brain is in real time. So yeah, anyone knows me personally, and get at me. I can just show you to them. We could do a meditation. We can see how in sync your heart and your brain is. And what we're basically saying is that growth happens at this stage. To the point where when they've measured people who are exiting death, there is a synchronization, and the theory goes that in order to keep your memories through death, in order to tap into the higher dimensions, you have to have your heart and your brain in coherence. And so we get back to lucid dreaming. The reason why lucid dreaming is so important, and talk on the next, this I already was lucid dreaming before I even heard this stuff, but the reason why lucid dreaming took on such a significance is because in order for you to lucid dream, your heart and your brain have to cohere. They've done the brain scans, and when people lucid dream, their heart and their brain is in synchronicity with one. And so instead of you buying this expensive equipment and materials and stuff, you can just lucid dream and know that you as a person have the ability to cohere your heart and your brain, which is one of the keys to everything. That's a key to open up the universe. That's a key to open up a portal to the universe. You do those two things, you can open portals to the universe. I'm not joking. Of course you can. Because that's what lucid dreaming is. Just in case you weren't recognizing. Obviously the universe is mental. Where are we only mental? In our dreams. Or where are we most mental? In our dreams. So obviously we can unlock portals because the universe itself is a mental portal. That only limit is our imagination. Which is going to lead me on to the next exercise. It's going to lead me on to the next exercise beautifully. So yeah, lucid dreaming. Again, this is not really a video where I'm going to be going into the how-tos. If you're a go-getter, you can just Google this stuff. You can chat GTP this stuff. Even put it into AI. You can just Google it, chat GTP, YouTube. You can hit me up as well. Like, it's not like I'm not here to help, but obviously I don't want to go through the steps because that will just like make the video 2 to 3 times longer than it needs to be. So I'm more talking about trying to excite I'm trying to go into that divine spark level where you take up at least a couple of these practices into your new year and just see where it goes, you know. Okay, read a book, but really your mind and your focus is on the practice. Your mind and focus is on the practice. So next one, sigils. Yeah, there's only 2 more. Sigils. Sigils means symbols. So when you're gonna go online, this is definitely getting into like occult practices. This is an occult practice, creating a sigil. But again, what I hope to do, what I hope my energy does, and what I hope I do as a person is try to normalize these things that we call magic or occult or spiritual. For me, they're super logical, hyper rational. They're just hyper rational and logical. We can only see the universe through symbols. So that basically means that through our meaning making, we are creating sigils, which is an occult practice because everything is spiritual. So why not create things proactively in the know, now that we understand and accept that ignorance is not bliss, and that we were just doing these things anyway as a consequence. Let's be proactive with it. Let's be intentional with it. That divine will, that divine spark is intentional. So a sigil in its most classic, I'll give you the classic terms, and then we're going to go on to the advanced level as well, and why they're different and why you should do both, or how you can do both, why you should do both. So a normal sigil is where you take a sentence, a phrase, and you turn it into a symbol. And you do that by removing the vowels and removing the repeated consonants. I might share my screen at some stage. There are apps that can do this for you. So there are online tools where you could just put in a sentence and it will remove all the sigils and symbols. You can go into ChatGPT, just get them to remove all the symbols and sigils, or you can just do it yourself. Just write down your manifestations on a piece of paper. And so what I'm teaching is to do it through my methodology. So one, you use the magic framework. So let me just share my screen. Let me just share my screen quickly. So I've been working on this all day. That's why. Anyway, I've been working on this all day. I've been working on a lot of things all day. But yeah, just frameworks. I've got some new clients, and so just retouching up my frameworks. All right, cool. Boom. All right, so as big as possible, and then I can actually do that for once. There you go. All right, cool. So yeah, really quickly, we want to be multi-dimensional. We want to be able to tap into the ether. So that basically means understand that we are mind, body, spirits, ether beings. Look into the 7 subtle bodies. Look into something called the 7 subtle bodies. We are multi-dimensional beings. We are ether beings. We want to be immeasurable. The ether is outside of measure. So matter is related to measure. And so because we emanate from beyond that space, we want to be able to tap into that with ether. We want to be groundless. So we want to go for the impossible. Why would we come here to exist to just do the normal, to do what's already been created? We're not really tapping into our creator energy if we're just doing things which are achievable. So this basically is an antidote to the SMART objectives, which is taught in business, which is based on the logical mind. So if you want to achieve something logical purely with no spirit, then just stick to the SMART objectives. This is for what I'm actually just calling themes and aspirations. Themes and aspirations that drive and ignite the divine spark and divine will within you. You're not going to sustain that through purely smart, logical objectives. That's why your manifestations don't work. That's why every so often you keep on rejigging, going back to the drawing board, going back to the drawing board, and going back to the drawing board again. And you're on your 10th cycle and you're doing the same thing. You're just changing the manifestation, but you're doing the same methods. It's called insanity. So this is a framework to take you out of that insanity and tap you into your higher self. And then imagination. So instead of being realistic, let's use our imagination. Spoke about that already. And then we need to understand, instead of timing, we need to understand divine timing. So we need to understand the cyclical. Again, the cards, cyclical. This would allow us to understand cycles. So my whole point is that you want to create magical objectives. They should sound magical when you read them out loud, and then you put that into a sigil. You can obviously just create a sigil and say, I want to buy a house, or I want to. But I'm basically saying that the imagination that you're using should be this state of being that you are. The transformation to the state of being that you are, not the thing that will perish when you transition. Like, the perishable item should just be a byproduct of the cultivation of spirit. That's what we're saying with this magic. And we're saying that you put it into a sigil. So you basically create into a sentence. Let's see if I got the sigil stuff down here. Further down here. Yeah, here you go. Yeah, and then so you distill the sigil. So you remove the vowels, duplicate letters, then you design the sigil using the remaining letters to create a unique visual. So this gets you into symbols. So once you start understanding symbols, it then becomes fun. It basically just becomes a piece of artwork. And so you would just create a symbol from the letters. Again, you can just go online. Like I probably will do a video where I do this whole framework, because this workbook in itself deserves a separate video. So I'm skipping. This is one of those ones where I'll come back later probably. It'll be within my 100 videos that I do, or you can just ask me. So And then the thing that you need to do is empower the sigil through your intention. So I want 2025 to be the year, or this year, or this now state to be the state of intention. The mind state is intention. If we don't have a reason to do it, let's just be lazy. Or curious in that hope of like what could happen. Like we don't know, because obviously we can't know everything. So we tap into that chaos realm and we just go into that imagination and just trust the process. Trust your divine spirit to lead you to high places. But we're creating these sigils with intention. And it's going into the subconscious mind. So the key thing with the sigil is the reason why you're taking away all of the letters and putting into a symbol is that after a while you'll actually forget the sentence itself, which is a good thing, because now your logic can't dictate, because you've turned it into a symbol, and a symbol speaks 1,000 words. So you've taken this thing that has lots of words, then it reduces its words, and then it expresses it again. So it's going through a compression and an expression, which is basically breathing in and breathing out. This is how the universe works. But the key thing is the compression, because that takes us to the 0 point energy, which is where our true power lies, to be clear. Just to be clear. So yeah, we need to power our sigils. So I would recommend that when you're creating your themes for the year, you create them and you turn them into sigils. This is basically what I'm saying. You create your statements, your magical statements, and you turn them into sigils. And then I definitely will. I don't think this is the video for it, because I feel like I've stayed on sigils for quite long in comparison to the others. But again, like I have a process for igniting intention, for like how to power your sigils. Basically, I have my own process, my own frameworks and stuff. But this, again, like I said, it needs 45 minutes for me to do that. So yeah, subscribe and like, press the notification bell, you know, all that good stuff. So boom, where were we? Of course, if you've got any questions, as always, let me know in the chat. Exercises, there you go. All right, so then the final one is imagination. Is imagination through something that's been coined a hyper sigil. The hyper sigil. So Carl Jung, who basically, like I said, is a psychologist, a pioneering psychologist that spoke about archetypes and the subconscious mind. He basically was the one that brought the subconscious mind to the Western world as an actual dialogue and an accepted thing within a practice that was, you know, accepted in science. So shadow work as well. So when you hear the word shadow work, that is also Carl Jung. Like this Carl Jung guy, he basically pioneered at least 5 to 6 different things, at least, that we, you know, have now as common terms: archetypes and shadow work. And he had a practice to tap into his imagination. He had practices to tap into his imagination. So this particular exercise is going to allow you to do quite a few things. Tap into your imagination, but then, as I spoke about last week, tapping into your 4 selves: your higher self, your lower self, your future self, and your past self. And so you're going to see them as archetypes, as characters, aspects of you, which is the centered self in the now. And we are this pebble in the rock, the standing wave. So what we believe is the most important thing, not what our future self believes. Those aspects and those archetypes are probable, and you as the standing wave would make them possible and real through your imagination. And so you basically write a story with your four selves, or the self, and you basically just give them characters and a backstory in terms of like what you want to do. All of these aspects are aspects of yourself. Just to be clear, these are all aspects of yourself. But whatever you're trying to manifest through this story, with a beginning, middle, and end, you're going to create it as characters for transformation of something that you want to manifest. You're going to turn it into a story. So this is taking us. So basically, what we're saying is that the words are symbols. So these words are going to turn into what we call a hyper sigil through the story. So the story itself becomes a hyper sigil, a combination of these tens, maybe hundreds of words that maybe has like a mixture. Like I've actually got a whole document to do this. Like this is like, again, for my students and for people that are, you know, on my life coaching stuff. Like this is a whole document I've never shared with anyone. Like this is, it's an incredible document. Just in terms of like how it allows you to tap into your creative powers. It's incredible. Because I use divination with it as well. So you're tapping into like your four selves, then you're tapping into like your divination codes, which are also symbols. You can Google hypersigil. So I've not made up the term hypersigils. As usual, I've just put my own way because I'm creating my own universe. So I have to do it in a way that relates to me. So this is what you've got, the right hand path. So let's just to be clear, right hand path and left hand path. So the left hand path is the logical order. It would rely on you maybe reading books, staying within the lines of what they tell you in astrology and what each meaning is. And then you got the right hand path, the one where you tap into your power and you realize that you're going to chart your own course. And you don't do any type of divination or magic without adding your own spirit into it. As in, you are the fifth element. If anyone has seen that film. So yeah, you got these four elements. We take the four elements, we respect the four elements. Boom, boom, boom. But you never forget that you are the fifth element, the spark for it all. And so we want to use our imagination as a superpower to create and shape reality. And that's what this hyper sigil does. I'm going to add some of like so why I'm so excited. So this is the only practice that I'm not really doing to the level that I want to take it to, because I've built this work, but I've built this framework for myself and I've done it for myself a little bit, but I've only created one story. I want to create quite a few stories that do different things, basically. So it's just one of the ones I'm really excited to just sit down like an hour and just bang out one story. Because what I'm basically saying is that the future influences the now just as much as the now as the past influences the now. And so I'm going through a cycle right now, and I've been for a while, but right now I'm in a cycle of life imitating art. Almost like whatever I'm saying, whatever I'm teaching is coming true in my life. So I better be the best student, because I'm basically forcing the universe to, I'm basically magnetizing the energy that I'm speaking through these videos. So if I say something that's inconsistent with how I'm living, I'm going to feel it in a real abrupt way. And I'm seeing that already, just in only 3 weeks of just being consistent. This is where the consistency thing comes in. Because if I just did it once, I wouldn't even notice it, or it'd be too subtle for it to really make a wave. It's not for the light-hearted what I'm trying to teach people, to be honest. It's really not for the light-hearted. And when I mean, and I'm contradicting myself because everything's about being a light heart, but just the old school term. It's not for the faint-hearted. That's what I should have said. It's for the light-hearted, but not the faint-hearted. Because I'm removing any possibility in anywhere where you could be a victim of your own circumstance. I'm saying in whichever card you were dealt, each card is a card of magic. So if something's going wrong in your life, it's because you don't have the alchemy to work out how to use these cards to your benefit. This is the whole anti-fragile working with chaos. Okay, you didn't deal with these cards. Okay, in another lifetime, you would have written these cards differently. But essentially, you've not learned how to manage magic with these cards. All hands are winnable hands until it's not. And because we live in the realm of now, that chance to win can always get collapsed when we live in the present moment. So on one hand, it's like real difficult. Like what I'm obviously asking for you guys to, what I'm encouraging, like literally you can watch this video and do nothing with it, like just zero, just it's just there for mental masturbation, whatever, or just, I don't know, just do nothing. Most people do nothing, which is fine. You have to follow your spirit. Like if this video isn't calling you, isn't calling for your spirit, isn't calling to your spirit, then it's fine, like absolutely fine. You know, I know from what I've already done with this stuff, how much has improved my life. And I'm so excited to just go deeper with some of this stuff. Like some of this stuff is quite new. I've been building. You could argue that. So this is kind of where we're wrapping up with this section before we get to the Q&A. So you could argue that I basically built 3 phases. There's decode, design, and divine. And so decode is where you understand about yourself. This is where it started with me doing this reading 4 years ago. Then the design is me coming up with these planners, and like literally today I'll be working on this workbook, this planning workbook for like my students. And it's obviously a design thing. Like there's things for you to fill out and for you to create your own reality. And then we get to the divine stage. So I would say that I've been on the cusp for about 4 to 6 months between the design and divine phase of this my own reality that I've created. And this next phase is just about moving beyond in fully embracing the divine phase, removing. So I'm going through a period right now of trying to remove all of my limiting beliefs which may hold me back from going to this level that I know is within me, but I could easily stay in the realm where I am, because this realm is where I am right now, where I've been for the whole year, is a real comfortable realm. It's a beautiful place. But I'm still looking to stretch this vessel. You know, the journey doesn't stop. And so mine, I like to stretch and compress, build elasticity, heart rate variability. Can you drop your heart down to 0? Can you raise it up to 100? Heart rate variability. That means we can move in many dimensions. Essentially, that would be the physical manifestation of your ability to tap into many dimensions. Just be clear with what I'm saying. The 4 or 5 levels of the brainwaves: theta, alpha, beta, delta. So that is all of the that's all of them. So I'm just going to close it out with a few words of doing so well for time. So I'm just going to close it out with a few words of like integration, but I feel like I've actually done it, because my integration was about ways in which you can integrate this stuff. So if you're a busy person, then I'd recommend no more than 3 things per season, per season. So we spoke already about themes and not goals. Goals being like limiting in their nature. And so again, we need to pay our tides, as my cousin would say. So if you need to focus on the smart stuff, this conversation isn't really for that. There are way better videos that help you, I don't know, buy a mortgage. So what this video is about tapping into your divine self, which I've said already, and integrating that. I would recommend that you go deep on 3 things as themes, and you come up with your own seasons, or just use the 4-month season, the quarterly seasons. Every quarter you review those seasons, and you basically do something called keep, remove, add. There you go. Simple. So you can make, so it becomes a real simple document. This document literally doesn't have to be many words. But if you want to add it into like magical manifestations and create sigils from it, obviously, you know, be my guest, knock yourself out. Like, you know, this is what I do. But you can keep it as, but I've also got a very simple version which doesn't have any sigils, and it's just literally on my phone, and I just review it sometimes from period, just to remind myself what my actual intentions are. And so I reviewed, I'll show you my intentions for 2024 actually. I found it the other day. I actually found it the other day. I built this at the start of the year, but then I put it on my phone. I put a much shorter version on my phone. So if I do find it, I will, let me just look for it quickly. What was it called again? 2024. How to decode yourself in 2024? No, that's a different video. Oh yeah, this is it. Yeah, all right, cool. So yeah, this was just my themes. I had 4 themes last year, and this was at the start of the year. So this changed a couple of times. But I had prophecy, miniverse, imagination, and vibrational healing. And what I really enjoy about these themes is it just requires your attention. There isn't an end goal. Like, so in here, there is an objective, but it's not necessarily even an end goal. Enhance, which basically means my attention. As long as I put time into it, I've enhanced it. Cultivate. So cultivate my imagination. Might come up a bit small, they're a bit bigger. So intuitive decision making, intuition spaces. So that was me tapping into my intuition. So, you know, this was the first year I did, you know, went into oracles, got heavy into oracle work. 40 days, 40 nights, did it many times, loads of times. It was incredible. And then it so happened that I tapped into prophecy, where, you know, a handful of times I was able to predict what was going to happen next. And then did it through Dreamworks, which wasn't even on my, but again, there were different ways. There are different ways to prophesize. So I then even, you could say that I already achieved the theme very early on at the start of the year, but then advanced it and just added Dreamwork into prophesizing, and just seeing its opening flowers of that as well, which was really exciting and intriguing, and something I want to tap into more this year, 2025. And then imagination, obviously I've spoken about that already. So yeah, just my ability to create. So when I was talking about imagination, the first word that really came to my mind, I could have almost replaced it with creation. Just that ability to create, to imagine, and then create it. Really, imagination starts first, then you create it, obviously. And then obviously tapping into and then vibrational healing. So I use it for myself. Like I have clients that use my vibrational healing services, but it's just honestly, it's just not something I really push often. Like I will start pushing it more, but I've got all of the things. I've seen some results. I even had some testimonies the other day, from that after effects, as in I like left the client and then they told me about some other stories that happened after the healing session. So we have that stuff that got done, and then we had the miniverse, and so this is the big one that this year. So miniverse was my old school term that I had for what I'm calling now the Uverse. So when I'm saying create your own reality, create your own universe, my latest term is called the Uverse. So this was before I had, again, these concepts are working concepts in progress. That was my word that I had then. I've now got a word that I prefer, but I'm still happy to use, you know, miniverse to the macroverse. You know, it all makes sense to me. It's the same thing. And so integration of the miniverse, developing exercises and practices that reflect the mini universe in daily life. And I would say that, yeah, like I said, I've dabbled with it. I've definitely built them. Like a lot of my work this week has just been building stuff just to get ready, because this divining stage that I'm about to go in is, I don't even know where it's going to take me. No idea. And then prophecy and imagination in the miniverse, that's just like how you combine the two. So yeah, with vibrational healing, that is obviously energy work and Qigong practices, as you can see as well. And then yeah, and then it just links to other documents as well that I've built, which yeah, if I start going into it now, we'll be here forever. I'll give you a little sneak peek of stuff. Anyone want to screenshot that? You can screenshot that. That's $1 million worth of game right there. I guarantee it. Spiritual hygiene 101, basically. How to clean yourself spiritually. I'll do it. I might do a video on it one day. Who knows? But again, this is just stuff I've got in the vault. Just it's there in the vault. So anyway, that concludes today's lecture. So what I wanted to do is just spend a couple of minutes, or just as much time as needed, with people. So this bit won't go to YouTube, by the way. So any questions that you have, just feel free to put them in. All right, cool. So yeah, thank you very much everyone for tuning in. I've done decent with the time, considering we started at, yes, about the 2-hour mark, considering we started at about 2:15 as well. So yeah, that's a real respectable time for myself. Enjoy your evening. As usual, anyone wants to reach out to me, you know me, I'm more than happy to help. It's what I love to do. It's where I create energy. It's where I create energy. Let me say this phrase to you lot before I go. Let me say this phrase that I want you to get. Like, this is just little after hours gems. I just wanna. The key to life is to implosively gain charge. Sorry, is to implosively. So we always think of an explosion. So this is a bit of the advanced. This is like the stuff that I teach in my advanced classes and stuff. But the key to life is to create the skill and practices to implosively, as in internal combustion. It's like an explosion that internalizes. It contracts. It compresses. Implosively gain. So we're not losing energy. We're gaining energy during charge collapse. Charge, think about what we charge as energy, currency, charging. You got charged to play this, and it drained your energy. So most of the practices that we're doing are draining our energy. So I know that I'm supposed to be doing some version of this, because I never get tired when I speak around helping people. That's why I have an abundance of energy. I gain energy. I was saying it to someone the other day. I was like, yeah, I might even have a headache, groggy, cold, but by the time I come out of helping somebody, using especially like ways in which I enjoy helping people, like, you know, I'm not a handyman or an electrician or something like that. Maybe I don't gain energy, you know, with the kind of handyman stuff, but in the ways in which I naturally help people, I gain energy. And so the question to yourself is, in which areas in your life do you gain energy? Do more of that for 2025. make sure that is embedded in your daily practices. So anyway, with that last gem, I do not say so myself, absolute keys to life, then yeah, peace out. Oh, from Canada, yeah? Blessings from Winnipeg, Canada. Yeah, boom. Yeah. Yeah, thank you very much, Lord Harris. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, we're getting there, man. This is a small channel, so just for you, like if you're still here, Lord Harris, this is a really new channel. So I've only got, I don't know, 10 videos up or something like that. Couple, maybe like 7 long videos. But yeah, essentially this is part of what I do. And then yeah, like I said, if you never heard, on Sundays I'm going to be doing a more advanced class, which is going to be tapping in more into like this, my hobbies, which is syncretism, divination. Syncretism and divination. These are like my hobbies. So like energy forecasts, prophecy, working with energy, creating my reality. Oh yeah, boom, yeah, first time. I'm so new to this, bro. I'm so new to this. And like the third time I've went live, I don't even expect anyone new. Like I've got a WhatsApp group. So I've got a WhatsApp group. So if you want to, there might be, I'll make sure I put my contact details in the description. So if you want to email me your number, I can add you to my WhatsApp group. It's a lot of my friends and family, and obviously, and just people that I've met over the past 6 months since I've kind of come out with a channel and launched this app. Again, you can check the description. I'm not trying to oversell you, but just like, yeah, I'm looking to build a community. I'm looking to build something with like-minded people. So, you know, I'm happy that you're here as someone new, and you know, there's no commitment. I'm not asking for any money. It's just, yeah, I'm genuinely about building a community because I've got some ideas. Like once I get a certain level and certain people are on some frequencies and some wavelengths, then there's other ideas to my vision as well. So, you know, only so much can be explained for now, but it's all good, all peace. So yeah, love and light to everyone. Harmony to all. Have a wonderful week, and yeah, see you next week. Hit that notification button as well so you get the updates of when we're going live and stuff. But yes, 8 o'clock Wednesdays, UK time. Peace. Peace. Stop stream.